Well, hi guys. Today I'm with my old friends again here at the RSGB. Now, the gentleman next to me I'm going to introduce you to last because he's new to his new role. But we will come to you in a minute, Bob. Here on this side of me, I've got Mr. Steve Thomas, our General Manager. How you doing, Steve?
I'm fine, Martin. Great to see you here again in Friedrichshafen.
That wasn't what you said earlier.
Different for the cameras, right?
All right,
Yep.
all right. But no, good to see you guys, and it's great you go stand, and people seem to be doing quite a lot of business there, so that's good news.
It's been busy, it always is.
Yeah.
It's a great event to come to. We absolutely love it, and people expect to see us here, and we're happy to do that. It's a great event.
Yeah, great. Now I'm going to bypass you just a second, Bob. No, there's not because I'm not being disrespectful.
No.
Stuart, we've known each other quite a few years.
We've known each other a long, long time. Didn't I teach some of your family to get their exams?
You certainly did. And I believe it or not, I brought these students down to you, and you said you can't sit in the back of the room. You have to help me.
Always engaged the volunteers.
No, it was no problems. I was enjoying the hobby, and I was great to be there and help in any which way I can. But I often joke and say I know you from taking students in the course.
Anyway, it's great to meet you here again. Always good to talk to you at all the shows, Martin.
Yeah. So what are you up to at the moment?
Well, I'm chairing the board, so I'm working with all my colleagues on the board to work as a team to deliver what the RSGB needs to deliver to support its members, both traditional things, and we're doing an awful lot of outreach work. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Okay, I'll have a chat with you.
Some technical stuff as well. You might see the odd article from me as well.
Yeah. Well, I'll have a chat with you a little bit later on the outreach stuff off air, because I've got one or two things I want to suggest. So, Steve, I don't want you to feel upset, but I'm going to go and talk to Bob.
Oh, you should. You should.
Okay, the gentleman next to me, and I'm going to make sure I get him to pronounce his surname because my mental retention is fairly low. But Bob, you're the new president of the RSGB. Tell us what you're all about.
I am. It's very good to talk to you, Martin, and a very good evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you're listening to or watching this in the world. My name is Bob Beebe. I have been elected as president of the Radio Society of Great Britain, a fabulous society, a world-renowned club, and it's an honour and a privilege to be able to give back, really, after being a member for over 50 years, but in the hobby nearly all my life.
Yeah. Well, 50 years is a long time. I mean, it's twice my length of time in the hobby. But, as I say, giving back and supporting amateurs and helping amateurs is a great way of working, isn't it?
It is. And, you know, it's funny. We were in Dayton just a few weeks ago, and you look back 100 years to 1925. They didn't even have contacts from New Zealand to the UK. The trans-equatorial contacts were just starting. And that was only half my life away, you know, so it isn't a long time. And I think we're all passionate about this hobby, aren't we? We love amateur radio, we love communicating, and we love international friendship. And I think to be leading the society with a fabulous team of hundreds of volunteers, thousands of members, and people who are just generally interested, I think it's absolutely great. So I am honoured, it's a privilege, and to work with the board and Steve's team and all the volunteers is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I would joke and say that I'd be helping out with the RSGB, but Steve won't let me, but that's not true. That's definitely not true.
But I'm sure you're a member, aren't you, Martin?
I am a member.
That's good. And it's important to become a member. I'm not just saying this for the RSGB's sake, but to protect the spectrum. That's the access to the radio waves. Without a spectrum, none of us will be here. We wouldn't have a hobby.
Yeah. So, I joked and said, but invariably, we do similar work to yourself. We're independent, but we all
support each other.
Support the hobby and grow
right.
it, which is the important thing to do.
Absolutely right. And, it's all right talking about the history of the 100 years ago, but now it's time also to think about the future, because we want the society, the hobby, to be here in another 100 years' time.
Oh, yeah.
And one of my first presidential duties was to celebrate the 100 years of IARU in Paris recently, and I met some wonderful people there, and it was interesting because some of the meetings I was there at, there were a lot of different types of people, which I think we should be modernising our society. And I mean, women, people from different ethnic backgrounds. And so diversity and inclusion is something that I'm quite passionate about for the society going forward. And that's the way of the world. And we are international. We've spoken to people from all different countries, haven't we, this weekend? And so that's something we're looking at as a board as well, to let's get some diversity and inclusion in the society.
Yeah, now you wouldn't necessarily know this, but for years on the podcast, I was looking for a lady presenter to present the female point of view.
Yeah.
No, nothing sexist, but the female.
Yeah.
And every lady I asked up until the one we now have,
Right.
the husband stood behind and dictated what she had to say, which is totally wrong. Now, we'd love youngsters to be part of the RSGB podcast. Unfortunately, when we record, it's not always convenient for outside of the UK. But the diversity, what you're saying, youngsters,
young people,
and bits and pieces.
And I can give you an example of that. When I was first became a shortwave listener, and I'm sure many people watching remember when they had their first radio and turned on and listened in, or whatever it was, broadcast or amateur radio enthusiasts. I was 8-9 years old. By 9.5 years old, I was a member of the Derby Radio Society, which is a club in the UK it's gone now. And I was on the committee when I was 11 years old as a young junior member. And they were saying to me, oh, you bring a different perspective to the things we're talking about. And in my professional career, I've been on boards of companies and businesses where women have been there, people with different backgrounds, and they bring a different perspective. And it helps to modernise the company or the society that you're working with. So I'm very, very keen about that.
Yeah, well, a couple of the sentences I often use, and I'm sure the boys have heard this before, there are two things. A, the more you know about a subject or a product, the more you realise just how little you know. And from sales days, when I was an engineer and I used to do a lot of work with the technical sales guy, he said to me very early on, he said, "Mine, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen twice as much as you talk, because people will tell you all sorts of things." And those two things kind of, even though we're quite senior people, if we had somebody who was 17, 18, they could still teach us things we don't know.
Absolutely. Do you remember the sticker that goes on the back of your car?
Yeah.
Employ a teenager while they still know it all. And actually, that is true. They do know more than we do. You talk to a teenager about AI and the future of amateur radio with AI, it just opens up a whole different catalogue of things that we're not so familiar with. So it's very important to have a wide range of diversity and inclusion in all the things you do.
Yeah. Now stay with me, because I don't want to leave the boys out.
No.
Yes. I was going to say, diversity and inclusion, though, is of course including people, but it also includes technology and techniques. Yeah. And we really have to reach out to people who do other forms of wireless and include other forms of wireless. And if you go to the Innovation Centre that's just round there, you will see people doing mesh. We need to do mesh. We need to do Wi-Fi. We need to do anything that's wireless related to get the full spectrum of wireless applications. And then AI, we need to include AI because it's such a powerful technology that we need to be applying in both our operational side and our amateur radio side.
Yeah, there's a lot there. Now, you guys won't be aware because it don't get released till tomorrow, but one of our news stories we talked about this episode that goes out tomorrow was about your training and the stats and how well amateur radio in the UK is alive and doing well. So we've talked about that. We kind of went off down the subject of no practicals. I understand why we don't do practicals, because of during COVID you couldn't, but I think people would benefit from it. Having tried to run a practical course where people come in, they don't show up. But I think people have got to get involved with clubs so that they get the practical experience, so that we can show them how it works.
The point is that practical shouldn't be a gatekeeper to getting a license. Practical should be something that you do as is appropriate, right? I mean, there are some people for whom practical is just going to be writing lines of software for a GNU radio application, and teaching them how to connect and wire up an antenna may or may not be what they want to learn to do.
True, but you're going to start somewhere, and let's be honest about it, I'm sure even Bob here was the same. We were all mic shy. Once when we first got our license. And probably now the practicals.
We still are. You can tell we're all mic shy.
We're all mic shy, yeah.
But what I was going to add to this was we absolutely knew that. The reason the practicals came out with discussions with Ofcom was because of COVID, right?
Yeah.
But we absolutely knew that was going to change the training system, because it opened it up to people being able to take remote invigilation and do all of those things, which would have been horrendous if we hadn't done that for COVID, because all of those thousands of people that came in wouldn't have been able to do it. But we absolutely knew what you just said, which is why we made some videos that are still extremely popular on YouTube for the people, to show them what used to be part of the practical parts of the test. And I was part of making that video. We did it at the National Radio Centre. So still there, very popular. We still get lots of good feedback on it. But we went further and we did a series of videos on doing very simple practical tasks as well. So there was one on making connecting your radio up to your computer if you wanted to do data modes. There was one on creating a balun and things like that. But it started with those, what can we do for the people who are not doing the practical element in the exam anymore? Still there, still on our YouTube channel, YouTube/the RSGB, that's where you find them. But absolutely what Stuart said, this gives a real opportunity for the clubs, almost a unique selling point for the clubs, that says, okay, the people that have just taken the exams, come along and do your first contact, come along and do some of these practical things. And these folks are probably bored of me saying doing practical things is a huge thing that we should focus on, because if people, you and I have talked about this before, if people do practical things, they're going to become more sticky, right? In a marketing term, either to stay with, well, both to stay with amateur radio, but we also hope they would join the society and stay as members of the society as well. So those things are really important to us. But people staying in amateur radio, sometimes they join, they try something simple, they get bored, they go away again. And we all know there's a huge amount they can do. But you've got to start with that practical bit that clubs can help people do. And we're looking at ways that we can do that as well. If you look at what we've done at the convention over the last few years, we've tried to include some practical activities. Mark Jones did a fantastic programming activity last year. And we're looking at ways that we can extend that. And you do those things. And if you look around this event, you're seeing practical things. So we've been absolutely conscious of that, and we want to do more of it. So I couldn't agree more with the practicals, but I don't think we can go backwards. As Stuart said, it's not the gatekeeping thing coming into amateur radio, but my word, it's something that people need to focus on, because the hands-on practical stuff in whatever part of amateur radio you like is hugely important.
Certainly is.
It's not all about speaking on a microphone as well. We need to be clear about that. You can have great fun in amateur radio just using a keyboard, just using a Morse key. You can do it by doing statistical analysis of propagation result. There are so many aspects. We need to lose this it's a microphone position.
Now, in fairness, and you guys might just kick me off the stand now, I'm not a big operator. I enjoy the hobby. I enjoy the technical side. I enjoy bits and pieces. And I remember there was a couple of guys one year on an intermediate course, and we had to teach them how to solder. And there were so many bad solder videos on YouTube. And the guy said to me, "Oh God, that makes just so much sense when you spent 2 minutes showing me how to solder."
Exactly.
So it is, and I understand why the practicals, and I agree with Steve. It's now down to the clubs. Get your members in, get them involved, and then let them ask the questions, show them, and take it forward.
I would add another thing. Here we are today in Friedrichshafen in Germany, and if you're an amateur radio enthusiast or you love amateur radio, and you've got somebody who might be interested, then encourage them to come to an event like this. These events are fabulous because you see the whole it's a broad church amateur radio. You can see everything here. So if you get an opportunity to go to the UK, to the Hamfest, if you're in the UK or in Europe, come to something like this, because these events are about face-to-face, seeing people and sharing their stories.
Clubs need to think more out of the box in terms of when they meet, right? So we know there's a big problem with the age profile of clubs and driving at night.
Oh, yes.
When the clubs meet, mostly at night. So one of the things we did at Crawley during the winter hours was we open on a Friday. We have a club meeting on a Friday where a lot of people can get there just after work and other people can get there by driving in daylight hours. We meet on Sundays. A lot of clubs do that as well because it doesn't involve driving and being out at night when you get blinded by the headlights.
Well, I have been to your Crawley Club a long time ago. I should come more often, and you have a really great location and a dedicated shack there, which is you're doing better than most. Nicely, but I do agree with you. We do need to bring things into a different perspective, and everything we're all in agreement on this. And I'm glad we are.
So one of the things we've done down there is we were part of the group that rebooted Thinking Day on the Air this year, and we do Jota down there each year. But one of the things that the kids really like, the youngsters really like doing, is we've got these little micro beacons, and we got as you know, Martin, Crawley is in Tilgate Forest. So we got this forest area. We take these beacons and put them out in the forest, and they absolutely love going and finding them. You've got to do activities that they like doing, and that's not just talking on the microphone to someone. On the other hand, for the guide event Mayhem we did recently, we put a QO100 station up, and we made sure that there was always someone at NRC so that we could guarantee to have a space-based contact whenever there was a youngster that took an interest in what we were doing.
Let me add some stuff about not just the NRC, but we were talking about what clubs can do when people are taking their exam. Let's go before that though, because the relaxation in the license rules allows anybody to be supervised, right? Which is a wonderful thing at the NRC.
Oh, brilliant.
Anybody that walks through the door, we can put them on the air.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Right? Now that changes how you introduce people to amateur radio, because you're not just showing them, right? And I still don't think there's enough people taking up this opportunity.
It has to be taken up.
Right. It took us a lot of conversation with Ofcom to get this, organised, and people just so need to use this. So, National Radio Centre. Whenever we come to these events, and when we were in Dayton, everybody that comes to the stand says they've either been to the National Radio Centre, even in Dayton, or they were going to come to the National Radio Centre. It's true, isn't it, Bob? The way people view that. So we have 80,000 people a year through the doors, right? But we can put anybody that comes in on the radio using GB3RS, and they can operate whichever they want. We have digital, we have HF, we have VHF, UHF, satellites, Q100, the works, data modes, anything we want. We can demonstrate it, but we can actually put people on to use it. Now, that is available to clubs and individual radio amateurs as well, to allow people to use their station.
Yes.
And that is a fantastic way to let people get their fingers in it.
Yes.
And that's their first practical activity before they're even licensed.
Certainly
Right?
is.
Huge opportunity.
Certainly is. And I'm sorry, Bob, I've kept you out of this a little bit.
That's okay.
But no, it's...
Shall I give you a sort of helicopter view of that? Because
I'm more than happy, because I
one thing we've
agree.
not spoken about, which encompasses all of this today, is STEM. Now, for those people who don't know what STEM is, science, technology, engineering and mathematics. It's a program through the whole of UK. It's going through schools. The RSGB were British Science Week official partner this year. We did a lot of work with young people, and it's also a way for them to not only learn about radio but communications for their future employment and their work, so they can enjoy ham radio in their spare time, but do that for a hobby. But STEM is great, and we're really pushing that on our outreach programs. And as Steve said, and Stuart, we want to make sure that part of the, this journey from 8 to 80, I call it, we want everybody to be enjoying their whole radio site. So.
Yeah, I actually been contacted by one of our local reps. There's a girls' school half a mile from me who want to set up a radio club.
Great.
Now, unfortunately, they're not very talkative at the moment, and I know it's exam time, but what I did is I've been back to the regional rep and said, yeah, I'm interested in talking to them. I will help in any way I can, providing it's going to be sensible. I kind of are trying to do this as when I do get to talk to them, I kind of want to do it as a business meeting, because they need to understand all that is involved in setting a club up for longevity. You can't do it for a group of children now and then they all leave at the end of the next year. You've got to do the whole thing. Teachers have got to be involved. They've got to understand about putting antennas up and all the other bits and pieces.
Yes, absolutely.
And training. I have to offer them training. So I want to make sure when I go and talk to these people, they understand what it is. I don't want to put them off.
No.
But if you're going to do it,
you want to do it right. And we've got lots of resources for that. From STEM champions to outreach teams, we can provide all of that help as well.
Okay. The only problem I have, and with STEM, and I think it's a great thing. I'm in my 70s, in the fairness. I tip up at a girls' school where they're like for 13, 14, 15, and the public look at me and say, what's this old man doing here? And I know what you're going to say. I spend a little bit of time with youngsters.
You could be an ambassador, Martin.
I could be an ambassador,
yeah,
but yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But the public don't always see that.
No.
And that's what worries me a little bit, in that as a hobby, we're getting slightly older every year, and unless the youngsters come up...
I don't think you should dwell on that too much, because we are getting older, but there's a lot of young people coming in.
As long as they're coming up and taking responsibility, I have no problem.
Do you know how many people took exams last year in the UK?
I did see the report, and you've now put me on the spot, because I can't remember the exact number.
I've seen the stats. Over 3,000 passed the radio exams last year. And a lot of those are younger to middle-aged people. They're not sort of in the mature audience category.
Yeah.
I'm not young either. So... you mustn't just say that it's there are a lot of young people involved. We've got board members now. The age of the board member, the average age has come right down. We've got Ben Lloyd on the board. He's driving all the youth outreach programs, and he's got even younger people working for him now as well, the STEM champions, which is fantastic. So it's a broad church.
Positivity in this area, right? We talk about this quite a lot. There is so much really good stuff that's going on. Sometimes it gets drowned out by the people saying nothing's happening. It's not true. So here, they run a youth camp. So I've spoken to the IARU organiser of it. They had over 100 youngsters register for that. So 100 youngsters have been staying in hall number 6 down there, and being active in all the things that are going on. So, and within the RSGB, then, as you said, Ben's leading the youth area, and he's been looking for people to lead schools, STEM, universities, scouts and guides. He's actually found people to do that. He's not just looking for them. He's got those people leading those areas, and we're sending people to the YOTA camp in Paris. I think it is this year, isn't it? So I've been talking to them about that this morning. So we're sending people, RSGB youngsters, over to that. We sponsor them to go to that. There's a huge amount of things that are going on here. I want to come back to the diversity thing as well, because we ran a series of women in engineering spotlights out on social media recently. That will be in Radcom as well. And we also spotlighted the variety of volunteers we have. And I want people to get away from thinking it's the same old people doing the same old stuff, right? Take a look at this stuff that we're putting out. And the other big passion of mine is people say they don't see enough amateur radio in the press. We've got some amazing numbers for what we managed to do with that last year. You're part of that, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, you're a small part. No.
Yeah, very small part.
No, not true.
But you're not
not
quite
true.
at BBC level.
No, we're not.
It's not BBC. You've got your outlets. We've got Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram.
Yeah,
Check the RSGB out. Look at our YouTube channels. You'll see the broad spectrum of things we're involved in.
Yeah.
Now,
Now,
when we have let's say the international media coming to us asking for our opinion, we know we're doing it right. Okay, but we still keep hearing, oh, we never see it in the press or on TV and things like that. It's absolutely there. And if you look at some of the credits, you will see Radio Society of Great Britain have contributed something into those things. So there is a huge amount. But back to my original point, we need to be positive about it. Right? Because there is a huge amount of stuff that's going on.
If you go back to the AGM time in Radcom, look at the page that we always publish in there, which is basically a year in numbers, and those numbers are absolutely huge. We are doing a huge amount of stuff. The comms team are doing a fantastic job of getting amateur radio in front of people all over the country in all walks of life. Just look at the stats page and see the sort of the numbers we're achieving in terms of exams and in terms of reach.
It generates interest. Even next week, I've got interviews planned with BBC TV and ITV News as well. So people are interested in what we do.
that's good news.
Very last. No, it probably won't be the last thing. Let's be honest.
Go on,
The last thing I want to put in is Bob and I spoke about this in Dayton and here. It's actually a really positive feeling for us to come to these events because a lot of the other national societies want to come and talk to us and find out how we do what we do. Right. So it's very easy when we're back in the UK for us to feel that everything's. There's pressure, everybody talks it down. Actually, you come here and we are, thankfully, immensely respected internationally. Now, Bob knows more about this because of his IARU work, but there is that feeling when we come internationally. And I've spent, I know these two have as well, but I've spent a lot of time with the other national societies, and they've been asking how we do what we do. We get things from them as well, don't get me wrong.
True.
Right, but it is really... what's the word for it? Uplifting, positive.
Uplifting, engaging.
You know what I mean, though, don't you?
Collaborative.
And you've seen it recently, joining as president, and suddenly you're in there, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though you've been in amateur radio for years.
Yeah, it's being a member of a big society is one thing.
Yeah.
What's your
something happens.
involved in running a society is a big difference.
Yeah.
It's quite. The RSGB is a very well regarded society on the international stage for what we do, extremely professionally and extremely well.
But it's a bit like Formula One. If you stay complacent, you lose out.
Yeah.
So, and they, like those teams, look at each other, what they're doing. We do as well. You can't sit on your laurels. We have to modernise the society even further.
Do you want to talk about the app, Steve? It's the work you're doing to present information.
Let's call it the digital platform. Let's go with that. Absolutely. So we know we've been publishing Radcom for years, over 100 years. TNR Bulletin started as, and we've been publishing it on paper. Right?
Yep.
And people have been saying, can you do it digitally? We wanted to do this really carefully, right? Because there's a lot of people who are absolutely enthusiastic. They would get really annoyed if we took paper away, right? So we're not doing that, but we've added the digital edition of Radcom Plus, Radcom Basics. They're all there, and we've done it in a platform that allows you to view these things on the web. So RSGB members can see all of those, and so far I've put in 25 years, so you can look at, I could show you now, I could scroll through 300 editions plus of Radcom, and all of the Radcom Plus and all the Radcom Basics. We've put some sample edition of Radcoms there, open access to everybody. So when we come here, we can actually say, oh, you can go to rsgb.org/Radcom, and you can have a look at a sample Radcom. If you like what you see, you can join and you'll have access to all the others.
Yeah.
So we've done that. The platform allows us to do that through the website, but we are now moving towards having an app in the two main app stores, Google Play Store and Apple App Store. So we're about to go there, and that means people will then be able to read offline as well. Yeah. So the web one, you're assumed that you're going to be connected to the internet.
Yeah.
The mobile one, then you will be able to read offline through those apps, and that gives us the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
means that we're then able to offer a bit of a discount for people who only want the digital one.
Yeah.
Because the thing that makes the big difference, actually, it's not the cost of the paper, because if we print less editions, the per edition cost goes up. So you can take that out of the equation. It's the postage.
Yeah.
And in the UK, we get a really good deal on the postage. But internationally, it's very expensive, and it takes a long time to arrive. So when we come to these events, really coming to here in Dayton, polarised our thinking that was important.
Yeah.
So we've now got one rate for digital access worldwide, right? Because there's no postage involved.
Sounds good.
But absolutely key is people have got the choice.
Yeah.
Right? We're not enforcing this or inflicting this on people depending on how you feel about it. We're making it available.
You can see we're quite passionate, aren't you?
Yeah.
The digital version will be a lot more exciting as time goes on.
Yeah.
For example, you'll be able to click through links. You can do that today, can't you?
We can click through.
If you click links, that makes a lot of
Links become real. So when you see something that we've referred to outside, you can go straight to it.
Yeah.
But there's lots of other exciting things I'm looking forward to seeing in that.
So in fairness, guys, because I'm keeping you a long time, there's a lot going on at the RSGB. I'm very much sure you're going to be at Newark, and so will we.
Of course.
Yes.
I'm sorry you're going to have to put up with me again.
No, that's fine.
But,
I'm happy to talk to you anytime.
Yeah, but the whole thing is, just my last sign, and this is nothing to do with the RSGB as such, so don't look worried. I think there are two things that a number of amateurs should consider, and I'm sure you possibly agree with me. There are family members that are not interested in amateur radio, a la Mrs. B, who will never get a license. She could probably pass it tomorrow without even thinking, because she's been around us so long. But she's not interested, so we don't force her. And I think I've seen so many people force the wives to do it when they don't really want to. And number two, if you hear an M7 on the air, I will work a foundation license holder before I work you, Bob. I'm terribly sorry. I know you're the president, but a foundation license holder needs that practice.
It's interesting you say that, Martin, because just in April, when I became president, I didn't realise this, but the president of the RSGB has access to a special call sign.
Oh, yeah.
It's GB4RS. The first day I got presidency, I went on 40 metres and I worked a whole lot of M7s.
Which is great news.
And that's important, yeah. And 2E0 is M7. Everybody.
But there used to be, it's getting better, but there used to be a terrible snobbery about foundations.
I think those days are largely gone now. And it's interesting.
Better.
We get a lot of young people now who are interested, and listen to this, in learning Morse code, continuous wave, or CW, and we're going to champion that as well. And a lot of young people want to learn CW. I just happen to be president of a Morse club as well, the First Class Operators Club, and it all dovetails in, because Morse is great as well. Young people want it. The hobby's great.
I should have been wearing my badge, Bob, which was my American call sign, because then you wouldn't know I was originally a Class B operator and never did Morse.
Does it matter? Does it matter if you did or you didn't? M7, 2E0, just get on the air and enjoy yourself.
Yeah, that's the important thing.
I think so.
Amateur radio has to be fun.
And my wife doesn't like radio.
Yeah.
But when we met 40 years ago, the first thing I showed her was my Radio Shack.
You didn't put her off then.
So she knew what she was buying into. Yeah. And we've travelled all over the world meeting friends that we used to talk to as a child, and it's just a great hobby.
Yeah. And I haven't been to your part of the world for a good few years, but I really enjoyed when I was in Channel.
I'd just like to say a closing message, if you can, Mark, unless you're going on for another hour.
We could do.
I just want to say, amateur radio is a great hobby. RSGB.org if you're interested in the society. But just enjoy your hobby, enjoy talking to people. Hope to see you at face-to-face events like this all through Europe and the UK. And please come up and talk to me and Stuart and Steve at any time.
Yeah, I reiterate that. These guys don't bite.
They do come and talk to us, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, that's good.
At these events, what have we done the most?
Talk.
It's talking.
Yeah, these guys don't bite. They're passionate about the hobby, the same as we are. Come and talk to us. Yep. I'd like to thank each of you. Stuart, thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you as always.
Thank you, Bob.
You're very welcome. Thank you to ICQ Amateur Radio. And thanks.
And last but not least, my friend here, Steve.
Thanks, Martin.
Thanks, Steve.
Good to see you all. Glad to see the orange shirt. We can see you at a distance. We know when you're coming.
Yeah, you can hide from us, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, 73 guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.